Honored and very proud to be joined by, and let's just get to it because there is so much to cover, Tony, with your team who only won 3 games last year. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to peel back the curtain here. The Cleveland Browns are the hottest team at talkSPORT because apparently everyone in the world wants to read about your quarterback situation, which has been a situation, as you know, for the last 20 years. We are honored to be joined by Tony Grossi, ESPN Cleveland at the Land. Tony, where can everybody follow you before we get into your 4 quarterbacks?
Yeah, my Twitter is at Tony Grossi. TheLandOnDemand.com is the name of our subscription online service. That's where all my writing is. And anyone who can dial up 850 ESPN Cleveland on whatever app you use to get other radio stations, I'm there every day at some parts of the day. So that's where you can find me. Every platform imaginable. We have a YouTube channel, ESPN Cleveland. That's where we're at.
Tony, you and I, we go back a little. We've crossed paths a few times because I used to cover a somewhat disappointing NFL team at times, and you've covered a disappointing NFL team for the most part for decades now. Let's put this in perspective because you have seen it all with the Cleveland Browns. What is this era like, and how would you put it in perspective with all the other crazy quarterback situations that you've dealt with?
Well, it's funny, Brian, when people say that to me, you've seen it all. My answer is I've seen everything but a championship. And we haven't even seen a division championship since the Browns came back in 1999 as an expansion team. So the Browns have more quarterbacks than they had wins last year. They have 4 quarterbacks. 2 of them are rookies, and one of them is the most popular player in the history of the NFL, apparently, Shedeur Sanders, whose legions of fans are incredible. But trust me, it's we've had Baker Mayfield here, Johnny Manziel, and Shedeur's fandom is as passionate and as I don't know what the best word to describe them is other than they're all on you if you say or write or say or hint anything negative that Shedeur is not the greatest player in history. So that's what's unique about this situation. Shedeur was a 5th-round pick, and he's selling more jerseys than any rookie who was drafted. And there's some other his Instagram, his social media following, like laps any rookie out there. And he was a 5th-round pick. So there you go. And he is in the order of their quarterbacks, at least through OTAs and minicamp, he's number 4 on their depth chart. And his fandom can't accept that's going to change, and it may change, but right now that's the storyline. Every day I talk about it, almost every day I write about it, and I hear about it every day.
All right, Tony, as I was prepping for this in London, there was a story. I'm not going to mention the site because it gets enough attention, but there's a story that the Browns might carry 4 quarterbacks in the 53-man roster, which also might be a record. But I'm going to put you on the spot, Tony, because you love to just call it like you see it, which I've always loved about you. Because I remember being in a locker room when Johnny Manziel was going to be the Browns franchise hero. If the Browns had to cut a quarterback right now, and it can't be Deshaun Watson, so this is a 4. If they had to cut somebody right now, who would it be?
Well, it wouldn't be either of the rookies because the general manager, Andrew Berry, in 5 years of being GM, I don't think he's cut a rookie in his first year, a rookie draft pick. Okay. And these are 2 quarterbacks who they have long range goals. Even if they don't start immediately, they're going to be members of the team for 3 or 4 years. So it won't be either of them. Then it comes down to Pickett and Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco. We in Cleveland went on a magic carpet ride with Joe Flacco in 2023. Yeah. He came onto the team in late November, and the Browns were in the middle of a playoff chase, and he put up incredible numbers, instant 300-yard passing games. They won 4 out of his 5 starts.
He was elite. He was elite, Joe Flacco.
Finally, yeah, at the age of 39 or 38 at the time. Now he's 40. So not only do the fans remember that feeling, to me it was the greatest month in the Browns expansion history. I mean, every game was fun. For the first time, they had a legit offense. That was fun. But not only was it fun to the media and fans, there's still players in the locker room now, mostly on the offensive line, who were just fell in love with Flacco. So that he's got a big edge in this quarterback competition for that reason, but also because he's done it in the Kevin Stefanski system. They're going back to that offense. They went astray last year trying to accommodate Deshaun Watson with like a shotgun spread attack. It was a dismal failure. Now they're going back to what Stefanski does, and Flacco executed it perfectly. He is also a physical freak. Uh,
Yeah.
I compare him to Nolan Ryan. He'll be throwing 100-mile-an-hour fastballs well into his 40s. He still has an elite arm, and he has a great knack for avoiding sacks. His one problem were interceptions, but that's only been a recent problem the last couple of years. Anyway, on the other hand, Kenny Pickett seems to be a favorite of the general manager who traded for him, Andrew Berry, the GM. Andrew disclosed when Pickett came out of University of Pittsburgh in 2022, he had a high evaluation of him. Pickett went on to suffer 2 terrible seasons, although he was 14-10 with the Steelers as a starter. Then he was traded to Philly, and Berry brought him along. One of the reasons he liked him now is he's very affordable. He's still on a rookie contract. The Browns are still paying Deshaun Watson, and there are salary cap ramifications to that. So they had to be creative in building a quarterback room that was affordable. And in Flacco and Pickett and 2 rookies, he's done a good job of that. So that's kind of where the quarterback situation stands. I personally believe Flacco is far and away the best of the 4 right now, and ride him as far as you can, and we'll see what happens.
So I'm going to be a debate moderator because I watch this a lot in U.S. politics. Well, in the UK, they'll ask a question, but you won't actually get an answer. You're going to have to answer me, Tony. If they had to cut a quarterback right now, and it's not Deshaun Watson, who would it be?
I'm sorry. I forgot the question with my long-winded answer. Brian, I don't think they'll cut a quarterback. And that brings up the 4 quarterbacks.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer.
I think, if Pickett fails to live up to Andrew Berry's expectations, he could be the odd man out. But they could easily accommodate 4, at least to the trade deadline, which is in November. I don't think you keep 4 quarterbacks for 17 games, but you can easily do it. Practice squads are 16 players now. If you shortchange a gunner, you can put them on your practice squad and activate them that week. So I think it's far more realistic that they keep 4 than they cut 1.
That's fascinating, especially for the Cleveland Browns of all franchises. Look, we're going to talk quarterback. We're going to go back to Joe Flacco and Shedeur Sanders in a second, but I want to ask you about Myles Garrett, because it's almost like Myles Garrett's getting a pass right now because you have Shedeur Sanders and the 4 quarterbacks. I know, Deshaun Watson. Myles Garrett wanted nothing to do with Cleveland ever again, and now he is back, and he's going to lead a defense that could end up being the best thing about this team. To pair it with the offense, where is Myles Garrett out right now? And do you feel like he made a mistake for his career, or was this the right move for him to end up, finding peace and harmony with the Cleveland Browns?
I've never seen a player campaign to be traded as much as him. It was during the Super Bowl week. What do you call it? Media row. He went from one table.
He was doing Super Bowl press row stuff.
And then the day of the Super Bowl, he went on the ESPN pregame show and added to it. So he did a 180 and $160 million contract, 4 years, 123 guaranteed, can change anyone's mind to do anything. And I think that's what it's came down to. Myles has tried to suggest, he talked with Andrew Berry and he liked what he heard from the plans. Well, it was shortly after he agreed to his new contract that they traded for Kenny Pickett, and everyone thought, "Are you kidding me? You're doing this for Kenny Pickett?" So it was the money. I think also that the Browns were steadfast in not trading him. Myself, I thought they should have done what the Houston Texans did with Deshaun Watson. Just open it up and say, "Listen, this player is available. Come to us with your best offer, and we'll let you negotiate with him." That was the template for what they could have done. But the Browns decided they wanted He's a franchise defensive end, probably the best in the league, and that's where they're at. So Myles is the mindset now that and they're putting kind of the pressure on him. You have to have your best season now. We paid you a lot of money, and you went through all this stuff, and they drafted a defensive tackle for the first time who can be an all-pro potential that Jim Schwartz is used to having on his four-man line, and his name is Mason Graham. And that will have a big impact on Myles' season, I believe.
Out of the four quarterbacks during, and obviously it's just OTAs, it's just mandatory minicamp. But is there anybody who's outworking everybody else? Is there anybody who's showing up early, leaving late, or you're just hearing from your sources, everyone that you know around the team that's really impressing people right now? Even if it's not Shedeur Sanders or Joe Flacco, and it's the quarterback drafted before Shedeur Sanders. Is there anybody who's outworking the other three?
They're all doing great. I have been surprised. I thought this was going to be a circus, a disaster. I've never seen anything like this. I called it the land of the misfit toys. The quarterback room when they put it together. But yeah. I've done a 180. I think they're building chemistry with these four guys. Joe Flacco is famous for saying, I'm not a mentor, I'm a player. And yet he's mentoring by example. And Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders are soaking it up. Shedeur is a hard worker. He's been very coachable. The Browns in the pre-draft process had no problem with the Shedeur Sanders experience. They are not one of the teams who thought he had an attitude. They loved him, which is one of the reasons they ended up taking him, even though they had taken Dillon Gabriel 50 spots earlier. So Gabriel's a very polished college product. He's got more starts than any college quarterback in history. He's been under 3 different offensive systems. He knows how to work at quarterback position. And Pickett is playing for his livelihood now. I mean, this is the third team in 4 years, and he finally has a general manager, at least an advocate, who thinks he can be a much better quarterback. So, and Flacco too. I mean, he wouldn't have come back if he didn't think he could not only play but win. So they really have a good thing going right now that I see. And I wouldn't single anyone out. I know everybody is singling out Shedeur as last guy in the field and all that. I see Dillon Gabriel working just as hard, and Pickett for that matter. So I really think they establish it in the span of the OTAs and minicamp. They were able to establish a very favorable culture in their quarterback room.
Do you think Shedeur starts for the team this year?
This year? Yeah, I say yes because, Brian, the last 2 years they have started 9 different quarterbacks.
It's inevitable.
Yeah, 4 last year and 5 the year before. They made the playoffs with 4 different quarterbacks winning games 2 years ago. It just happens in Cleveland like that. They have a brutal early schedule, which includes the game in London against Minnesota.
Yeah,
Game 5.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see. You will see him in London.
I'll look for you. I will definitely be there. That's why I think a veteran will start the season. But inevitably, things happen. And people in Cleveland, mostly the Shedeur fans, but overall, people say, well, you've got these 2 rookies. You've got to find out about them before the end of the year. I say baloney. They're on 4-year contracts. What's the rush,
Yeah.
They have 2 first-round picks now in the 2026 draft as a result of trading with Jacksonville. It's going to be an epic quarterback draft. I tell my listeners, probably the future quarterback is in next year's draft, to be honest with you, because it's supposed to be really good, and they're a bunch of guys. They're more than one. You don't have to end up with the number 1 pick in the draft next year to get a good quarterback. If you're in the top 10, they're going to be enough to go around because other teams with quarterbacks will clutter that up. So I don't see the haste. But in answer to your question, sure, I expect Shedeur. I expect Dillon Gabriel. Hey, if they could start Bailey Zappi last year and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, these 2 guys are much better from what I can see than those 2 guys.
All right, Tony, I'm at my time limit because I know you are busy and it's also a bit of your off season, but I'd love to get one more in really quick. And you can talk as long as you want or as low as you want. But there's another situation that's going on that's actually big for talkSPORT as well, which is your stadium situation. I have been to the Browns Stadium. we might disagree on this. I don't know what you're going to say. I still think it's a pretty nice stadium. I like the location. I don't think it's that old fashioned, but they're talking, and this. I know it's complicated, but where do you think it goes with the Cleveland Browns stadium situation?
Okay, the Browns ownership wants to build a enclosed stadium. I won't say dome because that gives you think of the Houston Astrodome with this big round roof.
Yeah.
Think more of SoFi Stadium underground. They have plans to build a stadium 10 miles west of downtown Cleveland, actually very close to the Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. And they want to build around it, like a little mixed use.
Like the Star in Frisco
Yes,
for the Cowboys. Yeah.
And, the Haslams who own the team get no parking revenue from being where they're at on the lakefront. It's very difficult to get in and out of that stadium. You've covered games like me. You're there 3 hours before the game starts, 3 hours after it ends. You're not dealing with traffic that does not move for 45 minutes. Plus, Haslams get no parking revenue there. So I understand that they're wanting to go to another location. I think they're about on the 2-yard line from making this happen. And the state, they're requesting about $600 million from the state in a loan, and the state has devised 3 different ways that they approve it. It's going to happen by the end of this month that the state is finally going to sign off and say, all right, here's the $600 million from our contribution. They'll still have to make up other financing, but the owner has said if they get the state money, they're going shovels in the ground by next first quarter of next year. City of Cleveland has vehemently fought this because there's going to be a hole in the ground where that stadium is, right? And there's no development around it. And the mayor of Cleveland envisioned the Cleveland Browns being the catalyst to a new waterfront development, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And I'm actually in favor of the move, but it's a very divisive issue for sure.
Tony, it's such an honor to have you on here. Maybe we can talk to you when Shedeur Sanders is a starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns in London.
It will make news across the pond, I guarantee you.
with his millions and millions of social media followers, please tell everyone again where they can follow you and subscribe to anything.
So my Twitter handle is at Tony Grossi. I tweet all the links to my stories. My stories are behind a paywall. It's a subscription service called thelandondemand.com. And also I'm on 850 ESPN Cleveland and a YouTube channel, ESPN Cleveland also.